round number 6. So we should see from Mouzsports some fast plays potentially after an initial passive opening. That tends to be the case these days. Seems like a gentleman's agreement sometimes that just nobody pushes in the first, 15 seconds or so. Mouzsports with quick control of A main, which is quite cool to see. Quickly controlling the position which they know they'll need for later in the round when they actually decide to make the commitments. And again, we see a similar spot where Astralis do have a lot of players on the A-bomb side, but there's so much utility from Mouzsports that they can just go in regardless.
It's important to note that Oscar and Rops sit next to each other on the Mouzsports lineup, because we so commonly see them working together, more so on the CT side perhaps. We can look for that later on in the second half. Oh, speaking of people, it's time for GoTV picks for cash. Do you have a preference? I mean, for me, I have to pick Dupree herein because presuming he picks up an AWP next round, quite curious to see what he has to do with it on the CT side here for Astralis.
Well, it's going to be finally a move from Mouzsports in towards this B-bomb side. That's where they decide to go. Chris with the first opening, Glaive on the bomb site looking to cause some problems. There's no flashbang from a teammate or anything like that available to him. He's just got to get a good peek, and that is certainly a good peek. Very clean from Glaive. He has a chance to get even more damage here. Another 1v1. Sunny wins it out, though, as the rest of Mouzsports barrel into the B-bomb site, and they start to clean up these pistoling players, but additional damage done as Tico on 2 HP. So I don't even know how, but Astralis have made this round look kind of messy for Mouzsports.
Specs had to go to CT spawn to pick up a USP. I think he needed bullets. Astralis, masters of time, making it very difficult for Mouzsports to even plant the bomb. Tico's got to be careful. All of 2 HP trying to reposition through the smoke. There was a gap, but he was not spotted. So for GoTV, in addition to Dupree, I've got to say Rops, we've seen amazing things from him, but we'll come back to that. Zipex trying to do more damage, and indeed, Tico is vulnerable, but Rops will finish things off. There's a 5th round on the board for Mouzsports. So my GoTV picks are Rops on both sides, and Dupree, if he has an AWP. There it is, the sniper rifle has been picked up, but wait, there's more.
That's pretty cool. Both Device and Dupree going for it. I wonder if Device is motivated by a spawner, if they just want to kick off the double op setup immediately. Oscar as well, picking up an AWP, and Oscar's a player that's hard to contend with when he's having a good day. So this will be an explosive situation potentially. Dupree on the B-bomb site. Device on the quad position on A. Dupree already taking some damage into checkers. So Rops will be the man sort of pressuring B and continuing to get information there. What's the play here from Mouzsports? They've got mid control, or they're working on it at the very least. Well, that's the highway smoke. It's a really awesome smoke. This completely denies information from the CTs. They have no idea what's going on in middle now, if it's an A play coming or if it's a B split coming.
That smoke has to be perfect. Very easy to leave a gap by the wall towards Fork, which the CTs can peek through, and Zipex was having a look there, not sure if he saw anything, but here come numbers towards the B-bomb site. Dupree ready for the first player, but has he got more? Glaive is there for support, missing the second shot, but Kiabi picking off Stico. The bomb's on the floor now, and the kills are raining in for Mouzsports. Not a good start for Dupree on the AWP. Zipex and Device remain outside the B-bomb site. Device looking for some higher play. Zipex making a play inside, but completely blind. Will take some damage, somehow still alive. Ooh, Oscar getting shot, but no kill for the CTs, and they really need a kill quickly as the bomb gets planted. Seems they will back off after those shots yielded something, but not enough.
Yeah, and Dupree's not going to be happy with that one. He had some good chances at the frags there. It can be a very hard balance to strike. You don't want to peak too much or expose yourself for too much time, so you have to take those super fast shots that we saw him attempting. And it can be difficult to get consistency with it. He's only good for the one. So Mouzsports off to an incredibly good start on their T side. So far, so good. You know, I love the detail in this round that we just saw, you know, in taking away all the information from the CTs. And they effectively delayed rotation with that highway smoke. That was the purpose of it. And attacking the bomb site was tough, but they managed to make it work.
They had good positions. there was almost nowhere for Astralis to stand with cover on the B bomb site, apart from default, and then you're just going to get pinched even worse. So Mouzsports used their personnel well, one person wide to expose the headshot position to be a lot more than a headshot, and then a person on the left-hand side as well. Force Astralis out into the open. But they're on the buy once again, and seems Device will be the single sniper for this round, and that's a fair decision, all things considered. Dupree had a lot of opportunities there, didn't quite hit the mark. It can always change in the next round, but maybe some more warm-up is required.
So, words of encouragement from Zonic. I think that's the, is that the Danish version of Komienu? 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 That's the one. Come on, boys, let's go. 6-0 Mouzsports, looking very strong indeed. Glaive on the MP9. Don't underestimate it. MP9 is pretty legit. Very high firepower. Oh, yeah. Sorry, fire rate.
He appears to be playing close mid, and you can use it there. You can definitely use it from this position, indeed, a fast fire rate, and you can get some moving accuracy as well. In addition to that, he's playing as awkward an angle as possible, and that does help his cause. It's a fair chance that if he kills somebody in the boost position, he will get a free gun out of it as well. So Astralis moves to a 1-3-1 setup at the 130 mark, but Zipex is going to go back and forth between mid and A. And Mouzsports slowly continue their advance. Device holding an angle towards main. Pretty dependable sniper, but he's been out of action for a while, Device, so he may have an opportunity to show us how on point he is at the moment.
Right now, Mouzsports just been making a really slow approach towards the A site as far as their positioning goes, but they haven't really made much noise on the map at all. So this is a different approach, very, very different pace from their previous gun versus gun round. And perhaps they're using that to switch up a pace to throw off Astralis and Astralis' understanding of how to rotate in time. But that said, there's 4 players ready for A, but look at this. It's all a bait right now because Rox was holding on to the B storage area as a lurker. They are very salty. Stico gets absolutely nothing, but now they know that they can run into the B bomb site. Is smoke going to come in time? No, not quite. Dupree gets himself a kill there right before the smoke blooms, and that could be the difference maker. We'll have to see, but Oscar's in position as well.
There's a CT pushing the smoke, though, on the low ground. Nope, they went back. Otherwise, Oscar might have been exposed, but many angles for the CTs to cover. What's the retake like? Surely Astralis have something prepared. 4 versus 3. One player on the site. Sonny with the flank taking Zipex down, and Device goes down soon after. Will Oscar re-aggress? Or will he allow his teammate on the site to have a look first? Oscar on the low ground. Things getting more difficult for Astralis, and looks like they have to back away once again. 0-4-7. And that was a fantastic fake from Mouzsports.
Oh, yeah.
They had 3 smokes down on the A site as only Stico was pushing, but we've seen some fakes in the last week on different maps and different teams where they'll throw a grenade and not invest anybody into the fake itself, but Stico commits. He dies for the cause on the A bomb site. He keeps everybody entertained, and the rotation is a long one.
And this kill and then the reposition from Oscar was so cool that he was very far back then, and he pushes all the way forwards, crouch peeks, and then we could see from the perspective of Heaven, he was completely invisible to the Heaven player. So, and he could take the peek into CT. So that was just so awesome from Oscar, just the way that he uses repositioning, how well he understands the angles in that spot. But indeed, we've seen some great T rounds here from Mouzsports so far. And actually, Astralis were the ones who decided to start on the CT side. So,
for me, Oscar is the chocolate gâteau of Counter-Strike.
Would you want to explain what that means?
It's very enjoyable to consume his frags, Dan. Just love to watch him go.
All right. Okay. Well, Sonny, he might have some interesting times ahead. Astralis making a play. This is a smart thing to do. Astralis, usually on their CT side, very, very strong. And it typically used to be because their ability to actually take away map control is very, very good. But as we can see, Sonny seemed to be ready for it. Takes out Device. And Stico, he may be able to make a play here through the door because they could have the information that he could have a nice flank.
Stico's lining up to throw the quad smoke Normally when you position like that, you open a door. In the box outside, there is an arrow. Tip of the arrow, you throw a smoke grenade, which he has done. There's a quad smoke. But what will the CTs make of this? Zipex is already in main, which he has smoked off. Sticko looking for a flank. He is sandwiched between two players. He doesn't want to become the burger meat. There's Zipex taken down, but there's Kiabi to trade. In the meanwhile, Mouzsports moving towards the B bomb site. This time Debris delivers a kill, but he's on fire. He's going to get barbecued. Maybe he's the meat after all. 2-on-2, Glaive on the site, not for long though. Kiabi now, 1 versus 2, coming in from the vent position. He's surely been heard now, stomping through the vents. Robs are given 1 versus 1, and Kiabi will win. Oscar now, full health, Molotov down. Kiabi, his options are limited. That flashbang's absolutely perfect. Does Oscar know where he is? It seems he does. Rio comes in for Kiabi, but Oscar is ready for it. And that is a release of energy from Chris J, screaming across the studio.
That's a really hard peek in Kiabi's position. Like Oscar gets a very good angle to have very good amount of time to see him coming and just easily take him down. So Oscar playing it really well, as you said, perfect flashbang. Really, really cool to see how Mouzsports are sort of going the extra mile in a lot of their plays. Obviously, Astralis tried to mix things up there and tried to throw off Mouzsports' mid-round calls, basically, by pushing A main, taking that portion of the map away and trying to thwart that mid-game. But Mouzsports sort of adjusted to it on the fly and still turned it into somewhat of a fake onto the A site, which was awesome to see.
One thing I forgot to mention earlier, just a small note. All of the gaming chairs here, by default, have the armrests on them, but Astralis got theirs removed before the match started. A bit more freedom, depends on your, well, how you use your arms, I suppose. I mean, it reminded me of fighting games because you don't want a chair with arms on when you're trying to use a joystick. Obviously, this isn't quite the same, but comfort is important. So, had a man on the stage pulling off the armrests. They are arm-restless, no rest for their arms. Maybe they need waking up still, as they are yet to win a round versus Mouzsports, who are 8 for the good. Astralis low on utility, big on aggression in this one. They've been waiting for Crusade, trying not to shoot his teammate in the head. And Glaive will finish him off instead.
Yeah, and it's incredible. They had a really good read. Like, to have 2 players there for a bait setup. Obviously, the execution wasn't perfect as Chris peeked directly behind his teammate, which is not ideal, but still, they get the trade out. And that's really what you want. And on the T side, going 1-for-1 like that is fantastic, even though Chris did get shot down to 35 health. And if we look at Astralis, they have 0 utility. They have a decoy. That doesn't even count. And so the Astralis are in a position where they need to make a really big gamble because of that lack of utility. And that gamble is to stack 3 players to a bomb site. And that's probably the best gamble, because taking an aggression is very hard, which is normally what you would see. And the reason why in this case it's harder is because they have no utility. There's no flashes you can throw to get potentially that first advantage moving into B storage or A main. So they've actually opted to just hold 2 to a bomb site. So this is all going to come down to the bomb, just hitting the shots.
Now it's Robs' turn to solo fake, and indeed, with 2 people already on the B bomb site, Glaive is making his way in, but surely they can identify something from the number. And Robs taken down immediately, and the rotation's coming in. But will come fast enough. Dupree forced away by Molotov again, doesn't want to burn, but he will die. Puncture holes from bullets. 3 versus 2, make it 2 on 2. Sonny with some grenades to deploy. Got to hold the angle though, while his teammate plants the bomb.
Looking really good here for Mouzsports so far, but it's not over just yet. Zipex and Glaive make their way in together. There's actually a slight gap here that gives just enough to work with to get some damage, but Oscar still anticipation. At the top of the ladder, he'll find a frag as Zipex is thrown off of it. Glaive now looking to make his way forwards, but Sonny's directly above him. Surely there is nothing that Glaive can do, and indeed, Sonny from above will finish the round. Another one going to Mouzsports. That is ridiculous. 9-0. And it's not just they're having a good game. It's like they're executing in a fantastic game plan.
So that is the lack of armrest, I think, for both teams, actually. Are you an armrest man, Dan?
I prefer, when I'm actually playing video games competitively, I prefer them off as well.
Marvelous. 9-0. Not marvelous for Astralis, but fantastic for Mouzsports. Who continue, or look to continue their charge. And their charge looks likely in this round to continue because it's a force buy or a half buy from Astralis. Pistols and Kevlar, as you can afford yourself when you've got maximum loss bonus. Oscar 2 ladders to get up onto the boost position. Anti-eco time for Mouzsports. Again, there's that short smoke. Trying to isolate some plays, and here come the Molotovs. Astralis won't be a fan of KBBQ after this game.
Take it. Oh, headshot coming in there from Chris, but trading just as quickly, but it is looking very good for Mouzsports. They've got great positions, vantage points on the A side to defend from. The thing to potentially worry about for them, really, I suppose, could be Dupree coming in from the door position, but they have enough players to be able to trade out. Zipex forced into the open, that's perfect timing. Every player that goes down that could create distraction means that Dupree's play becomes harder to actually, well, do anything with. And that is now the case, as we can see. And Glaive, you know, sort of going for a flank as well, will be spotted out. Mouzsports are completely safe here. There it is. Sonny finishes off Glaive. They know where Dupree is. James, are they going to go all the way? Do you think Mouzsports can go all the way here and not drop a single round?
They can, absolutely. At this point, they can. Because how many rounds can you say Astralis have been even been close to winning? I don't know.
And this is another reason why they're my dark horse pick and why I've put a lot of focus on them recently. It's because it's not just the fact that they have sort of a very complete team from the skill sets of every individual, but they also have a really good game plan that we've been seeing, and they've been executing it really well. And it sort of works with their style as well. Like Oscar seems very comfortable on this team. And that's really important. It's the first team I think I've seen Oscar on where he feels very comfortable with whatever his crazy type of role. The
chocolate gâteau of Counter-Strike. I think Mouzsports have averaged, a rough average, of about 3 people alive at the end of each round. There have been some rounds of 2, 1 round of 1, but some with 5, etc. So that doesn't bode well for Astralis. That's why I say that the rounds are being won with some comfort, which is why the 16-0 is possible, because Astralis are not getting enough time. I mean, look at the kills. With round 10, no one's got more than 5 kills on Astralis.
That's actually insane, yeah. That's kind of nuts. And look at Rob's go. Again, this is kind of what he does and what you like your lurkers to do, being able to make solo plays towards the B side, take away checkers. This is so painful. Oh, that's big, though. Kirby coming in from the bench from mid. Doesn't like what he sees, but cannot eliminate the presence. Pulling out the deagle is Oscar. And he's got reinforcements from Stuko here. Lots of attention brought back towards B, towards B, as far as Mouzsports are concerned. And how much do Astralis read into it? Having device in this position allows them to cheat a player towards B.
That was a nice smoke from Zipex, giving himself some breathing space. Gave him room to move into if he wanted to. Instant trade. Is that enough by device? Dupree by the forklift position, and he's in a strong position. Mouzsports don't necessarily have the personnel to try and clean it out properly. But what are they doing? The bomb is getting out of main once again. Oscar's ridiculous with these close range shots. Has he spotted Zipex now? The last man standing. 30 seconds remain. Zipex towards A. There's time to run towards B, but Stika's going to go for it. Another wipeout round for Mouzsports. Look tough at the beginning, but they prevail. A lot of it because of Mr. Chocolate Gâteau over there. I mean, he had 2 ridiculous frags, one with a deagle at close range, and then that AWP swipe.
You just never expect it. I love seeing this from the other person's perspective first, because you see how much advantage they have, and then as a player, your expectation is, I'm guaranteed this frag. I'm 100% getting this frag, and then you see them spin around and just hit you in the face with a shot, and you're just like, I don't understand how that's even possible, but that has Oscar written all over it. And now it's back to the CZ armor here for Astralis as they try desperately to scrap together at least a round on the board in this otherwise very disastrous half for themselves. Finding a forward position, but Rob's doing his thing at the B. Doesn't seem like there's a way in so far for Astralis.
Trying to get the CZs to work. Kiabi looking for something in that smoke, but nothing doing. Nobody in the B-bomb site for Astralis at present, although Glaive is around the vent area, so he has a lot of information. Device having a look through Squeaky, making his way back to A side. Mouzsports still taking it slow, thinning the numbers out bit by bit. There's more than a minute on the clock, so they've got time to do this. No need to rush. And now they will come together 5 versus 3 and play the overwhelming numbers game.
Yeah, and they've been so safe every time they've done stuff like this. We see the right, use of grenades. They've been having good spacing between each player so they can trade effectively. really eliminating any possibility that Astralis can start to snowball them. And it is a pretty good cleanup here. Only Glaive to make a quick kill. They know his position now. And there it is. Oscar very quickly on top of the red container. He wants that one. He's hungry. Gets himself number 3. And 12 rounds for Mouzsports. 3 away from a 15-0 half. That is ridiculous against Astralis. That is just phenomenal.
dupreeh and Device once again will be on the double snipers. Device's spawn is terrible. dupreeh's spawn is okay. It's not even really average, but we'll see what they're able to do. Device is going to be AWP, no grenades, which isn't the worst thing in the world. And there's a timeout from Astralis to discuss what they might want to do. It's Kiabi who has the forward-most spawn. He could make a play for some aggression, perhaps towards A. But time will tell. There's a timeout running out. And now we will soon be into the round. 12-0 for Mouzsports. This is not what they could be expecting. Sonic has been vocal this entire time, keeping his team's spirits up. He knows what they're capable of, and he will remind them every round.
I mean, all Astralis need is 3 rounds. I mean, then they can absolutely mount a comeback. It's one of the teams with the most class in the world and experience as well. I think it's always going to be a slow start for them, having switched up the roles and so on, having Device come back after a time away. I think it was always going to be a slow start for them. Let's see if they can recover here. There we go. There's a frag from dupreeh. Puts one on the board. That's in fact 2 from dupreeh so far. So now Mouzsports are in desperate times, and it's going to take something a bit special from them to come back from this disadvantage. Do they really want to test middle? Do they really want to do it? Because we have a lot of presence here still. Kirby is looking for even more. And Kirby's going to find something. Another kill for him, or rather for his side. First one for him, as Rops looks for it. A potential push, but now they're down 2 against 5. Perhaps the dream of 15-0 is over, but there is still a dream of damage. That's what Oscar's all about.
He's walking into an angle though. Although when has that really mattered? Producing damage to Device. Can Rops capitalize on that? Picking up an AWP of his own. He's low damage, presence of mind to try and avoid a duel. But he must be quick. Additional damage doesn't look likely. Kiabi's in a strong position. Ooh, he's found a gap. But he wasn't prepared for Kiabi. You can hear Sonic again. There's the first round. There's only 2 rounds to fight for here in this half. See how much more they can do.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough effort, but I think, you know, they have gained a little bit of extra added confidence from that last one. dupreeh kicked it off really well. And sometimes that's all it takes, you know, just having one player on the team, just having an insane round to bring you back. And Astralis, they have the full setup. They could, you know, possibly want all the utility, all the guns. And they went to the double op straight away when they first had money to do so. So it does seem like, you know, that's the sort of setup they want to be running the most rounds with. But one thing about that as well is that Mouzsports have been pretty good at using their utility to take bomb sites and then force those ops into retake scenarios where they are really very weak in comparison to holding some of the defensive lines.
Ooh, would you look at this? After a Mouzsports timeout, following their first loss in this round, in this game, sorry, Oscar and Chris J will wield the sniper rifles for the T side. It looks like we are heading towards FPL mode for Mouzsports. Oscar looking to walk into an AWPer and win the duel. Device is playing from the site. Some early grenades from him. In the meantime, Chris J is looking towards Squeaky. So, Mouzsports are looking for all this aggression. Look at that angle from Sonny. I've never seen somebody look for a boost from that position before. Normally people stand behind the truck. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm stealing that. That was really good. Oh, man. Sonny's been getting all kinds of cheeky kills, actually, this game. So he's been doing really well from that perspective. Now, again, you got that 5 versus 4. This is one of those spots where you have a protocol for this. When you're Mouzsports, you're like, all right, we got the 5v4 early on. That's been offered up to us in some respect. Now, how do we want to best abuse this? And you can start to sort of theorize, okay, what is the most likely rotations the CTs will make after that? On cash, the most expected play is that the CTs will push A main as 2, or they'll push B storage as 2 to try to get some information to make up for the fact that they're lacking a man. Astralis have done neither. They're just holding 2 very passive positions.
Oscar looking the sun with his naked eye, looking at the sun. I can speak English on occasion. Glaive and device. We've maybe the similar setup we've seen before from them in the B-bomb site. Glaive around headshot, but will they be ready for it this time? Oscar looking for someone, and he finds device on the site. He can use these boxes to give himself 1 versus 1. There is a Molotov for Stico. There's a flashbang as well for the CT side. Buying time now, and Dupree comes in to pick up a player. A great snap from device, and they might just have a second round here.
It's looking very tight here, and there's no time to get the plant, so they've done it. Device did a heroic job there, holding off. Oh my god, that exchange. Zonic is just going absolutely nuts, absolutely wild there. Good opener from Oscar, but it's really these shots from Device, and he waited so long for the repeats there, really forced, waited for that flashbang from a teammate, then managed to make himself very useful on that bomb site. Second round for Astralis. James, it's so insane how hard Astralis are having to work for every round just to have a chance to have 3.
That play from Dupree was nuts through the flames. And it's so important for Zonic to keep his team's adrenaline up, keep them energized when they're having a depressing half. You almost wouldn't feel that way considering how much he's screaming every time they get an important frag. Now it's time for them to win their 3rd and final round of the half. There's aggressive positions in B. Will Kelby be checked for? It will be, but they won't win the duel, Mouzsports. Trying to escape the wrath of Oscar. Needs to avoid the grenade. Kelby's going for it though, but they want to poke the bear in the eye. Or the chocolate gatto. Nobody left in the B bomb site, but the smoke is down and Mouzsports may not commit. No rotation from Astralis just yet. In the meantime, Glaive has made a push through Squeaky. I don't know how much information he's got though.
Once again, Sunny just finding these beautiful off angles to get these surprise kills. And that's another one. Oscar also lends a hand, and now they can just barrel their way towards the A site to try to close down the final round. But it's Glaive between him and that bomb site. And will Glaive be able to make anything happen here? Once again, Sunny is just holding this angle. He spots Glaive, and again, just so many cheeky frags from the man. It is a beautiful half from Mouzsports. Great individual plays, great team play, beautiful mid-round calls, and overall, a great approach as a T-side and fantastic detail adding into that.
That was a great call at the end of that round. Stico moving up towards short. Oscar charging through B. Sorry, no, Stico was with the bomb. It was Sunny going up short. Stico was just in mid by the vent with the bomb, finding out which site is safe. Oscar finds B is clear. Stico makes his way there, and Sunny gets the kill anyway. Great stuff, great presence of mind and focus from Mouzsports, but will it be enough to take them over the line? They've most certainly given themselves a fantastic opportunity for a stonking score versus Astralis.
Yeah, they're really into the flow of things. And one thing we didn't really get to see much of from Mouzsports is really anything but Mirage from the Challenger stage. There's so many Mirage matchups for them to play out, and so we were denied seeing them on Cash and some of the other maps. So it's good to see that they can play this just as well as we saw some of the games from them on Mirage. But now the sides are flipped. We have Astralis on that T side. If they can get off to a good pistol, we can absolutely expect them to do a lot of damage here, and as you will see, Mouzsports struggle for money. But that is the first step, and so they better have a pretty consistent approach here. And one thing you'd like to see from them too is just, regardless of the outcome of the round, creating a situation where they guarantee a bomb plant at the very least. Because with a bomb plant, even if they lose a round to the variance of headshots, they can buy something good on the second round.
Half-time discussion continues for both teams, mostly though from the Astralis side. They understand that it's really important. I think Glaive is just giving his team some specific instructions. You see he's got a notepad, the big black book, or medium size.
Someone screenshot that and enhance.
The medium size. Why'd you say that? Don't do that. Medium size black book. Zipex and Glaive will be grenade men. So he's just reading. I mean, it might just be his favorite page from Harry Potter. Might have nothing to do with Counter-Strike at all.
It's just like a motivation strategy.
They were walking through the forest. And then blah, blah, blah. I don't know anything about Harry Potter at all. Right, the unpause has come in. What do Astralis have to offer with their grenades? Stico will be the diffused man with 2 flashbangs on the CT side. Rest of them on Kevlar. Time for Astralis to start racking up the frags now. Oscar leading the server with 22 kills. He's 22 for 4.
It's mental, isn't it? I feel like if you're on Mouzsports, you go for like a really big risk, like, you know, 3 pushing through B storage, or, you know, just stacking the A side. Something, you know, really ridiculous, but they're just going to play it out standard, which is fine. Also getting the info. This is actually really important because that tells them that they can rotate now. And also they can stand a chance to get frags as they push with the choke points instead of playing pure retake, which doesn't often go very well for the CPs. Good approach. Can they get the frags? Very awkward for Sunny. Oscar's still in there, though, looking for his kills, and somehow they absolutely just clear everything up. Astralis get nothing.
I don't know how... Was it Stico who's completely blind and facing 2 people? Was just alive, standing there for ages somehow. Just standing there blind. I don't know how he didn't die faster. But he bought time for his team. Why are you so excited?
Oh, no, just, I mean, because you pointed out Oscar's score before, but now it's like 24 and 4, and it's just so insane. I can't believe it. What a ratio. 24 and 4.
Yeah, we'll see if it ends that way. Astralis, the worst has happened. They haven't won either pistol rounds. They are 2 rounds away from death, from destruction, from doom. Christian, caught in the middle of nowhere. Maybe a bit too excited with the pistol round win. Gives Astralis an early frag.
A kill on Oscar should be worth like $5,000 at this point or something, just to make it fair. And Stico with a forward position. This is really, really cool from Stico because he can give his team all the info. Get some free kills here. Ooh, that is just brutal. Stico just doing his best Hut G impression, although Hut G was a Mac 10 god. Maybe Stico is the impression. Ooh, Device survives, but not for too long. 15-2 is the score for Mouzsports.
Splinters sliding down the top. I guess top doesn't give you splinters. Well, that's 13 match points for Mouzsports then, and maybe Oscar will finish with a ridiculous scoreline after all, but that was some nice aim there from Stico. And once again, a force buy from Astralis. CZ's, a Deagle with Dupree. We know what he can do with a Deagle, but they might need a miracle on top of that, the way things are going. At best, 9 frags on Kiabi for Astralis. Not a good situation. That's a monstrous grenade, and that might put a very quick end to things. 1 HP, none HP now. 1 by 1, they are into the beat grinder. They will be converted into spam, unless Device can do something about this. Needed a second kill, chose to back out instead. Oscar in mid, Rops outside B. Astralis with the bomb, but Oscar might have some sound cues.
Yeah, pretty smart Device actually trying to use those sound cues as a bait. Maybe get himself a kill in mid and then a weapon would be fantastic. But we can see the issue here is that there's no crossing potential for Zipex. So it's very smart of Astralis to use the time that they have, but this play from Rops, man, going into T-spawn is very, very deadly. That's a really sick off angle, and that should be the one play to shut down the round. Zipex is on 20 points of health. A well-placed bullet, and he's done for, and there it is, Oscar. Who better to finish it off? 16-2, what an absolutely crushing performance from Mouzsports.
Welcome to the ELEAGUE Major. That is the message from Mouzsports to Astralis. A one-sided match of cash. Not the start Astralis wanted, but it's over now. It's history. They'll have to put it behind them and focus on tomorrow. Great start for Mouzsports.